She thinks you're avoiding her, but you're actually doing something much deeper. You're changing how she sees you without saying a word. You're making room for her to. Feeling your absence makes her notice the empty space where you used to be, and in that space, something powerful happens. She starts to reevaluate your work on Earth. Like a Stoic, you stay grounded and don't let fleeting feelings affect you, giving off an aura of quiet confidence and self-assurance. For a man who knows his worth, he doesn't have to chase after women. His actions speak louder than words, and his silence is stronger than any plea. And in the end, it's not about making her miss you. It's about making her see you in a way she never did before. Let's break it down. The art of planning to be absent. Don't ghost her. Instead, teach her to value your presence. Think about it. People tend to take things for granted when they're always there, but when they're gone, we realize how important they were. A Stoic man knows this, so he doesn't try to get attention or force himself to be there when it's not wanted. Instead, he makes space for her to think about what she misses and how you fit into her life. Silence isn't avoidance. Changing the way you two interact is like this. You text her all the time, always there for her, and she gets used to it. It becomes routine, expected, and almost dull. But when you take a step back, when you stop looking for her, she starts to wonder, she starts to question, she starts to feel your absence in a way she never thought of before, and that's when the reprogramming starts. Marcus Aurelius once said the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts right now. Her thoughts have been conditioned to assume you'll always be there. But when you step away, when you hold back, her mind is forced to repaint the picture. Instead of seeing you as just another guy who's always there, she begins to view you as someone with value, someone whose time isn't freely given, but must be earned. This isn't about manipulation, it's about respect. You're not punishing her, you're allowing her the time and space to realize what she had. People respect what they must work for. The Stoics believed in selfish discipline, in the ability to control one's impulses rather than acting out of desperation, and that's exactly what you're doing here. You're not reacting emotionally, you're not sulking in silence. You're simply making a choice to let your absence do the work your words never could. She will notice, she will feel the shift. And in that space of uncertainty, she will have to reevaluate what you meant to her. That is the power of reprogramming her mind, not through games, but through the undeniable truth that your presence is a privilege, not a given. Number 2, why the mind works. The more about why the mind wants things it can't have, the easier it is to understand. The more we know about something, the less we want it. This is true for love, money, fame, and everything else. When something is easy to get, it loses its mystery, appeal, and ability to be appreciated. But when it becomes scarce, it becomes very valuable very quickly. When you stop initiating, you set off a psychological trigger that makes her miss you, and all of a sudden you're not just a choice. You lose something. People usually only understand how valuable something is when they're about to lose it. And in that moment of silence, she starts to question things she once took for granted. The Stoics were very good at this. They practiced voluntary deprivation, which means they went without certain things on purpose. Seneca would sleep on the floor, eat the simplest meals, and wear the roughest clothes on purpose to remember himself that comfort and plenty were not what they were made of, and to show that they could function without outside approval. What we need. In the same way, when you step back, you show yourself and her that your worth is not dependent on her approval. When you're not in someone's life, they have to deal with your absence. If you were someone who added value, made their life more interesting, or gave it more depth, they will feel your absence and start to relive the times. The talks, the laughs, and the way you made her feel will make her wonder why the texts calls and urges to check your social media more often have stopped. This isn't meant to punish her or play with her feelings. It's to change the balance and make her realize that having you around wasn't a right, it was a privilege. The Stoic man understands that true power lies in restraint, in knowing when to engage and when to step away. He does not beg for attention, nor does he allow his emotions to dictate his actions. Instead, he moves with purpose, and now she must do what she never had to before question whether she miscalculated your value. She must wonder whether she made a mistake in assuming you'd always be there. That doubt alone shifts everything, because when she starts feeling that loss, she begins to rethink, to reassess, to desire. Silence is not passive, it's one of the most powerful actions you can take. The moment you stop handing out your attention freely is the moment she starts chasing it, and when she does, she won't just be chasing a man, she'll be chasing the certainty she once had in your availability. That is how you reprogram her mind, not with words, not with arguments, but with absence that speaks louder than any explanation ever could. If this concept of strategic silence resonates with you, take a moment to engage with it more deeply. Hit the like button if you find value in these insights, and share your thoughts in the comments below. You may have experienced the power of silence in your own relationships or be thinking about using this strategy. Either way, we'd love to hear from you. If this message really speaks to you, just type "Silence is golden" in the comments to let us know. As we continue to look into the deep effects of presence and absence, your responses help guide our journey into the complicated dynamics of human relationships. Let's find the third insight together, the silent powers. The women who make the silent power shift are intuitive. They can tell when a man is focused on his own thoughts and when he's looking for her approval. And here's the secret: the one who makes this shift is the one who is most intuitive. A man who is mentally stable and doesn't need approval is much more interesting than one who is constantly chasing after you. When you pull away, you're not just stopping paying attention to someone. You're changing the power dynamic. Now she's the one who is confused about why she feels off balance, and the more she thinks about you, the stronger her emotional connection grows. It's not because you controlled her feelings, it's because you gave them room to grow. Wanting something requires space, attraction needs mystery and distance. When you stop being too easy for her to get, she starts to question things she used to take for granted. Think about it this way: every day you walk by the same store and see the same fancy watch in the window. It's nice, but because it doesn't move, it becomes background noise. Then one day, it's gone, and you realize you wanted it more than you thought. You wonder who got it, and you feel bad that you didn't act sooner. That's how the mind works. We want things that are hard to get. The Stoics knew this very well. They didn't act on impulse or let their feelings control them. They knew that self-control was a form of power. Epicurus said that we don't suffer from things that happen to us, but from how we think about them. You're letting her opinion help you. Your silence makes her think. Your absence makes her question. It forces her to reevaluate how much of her reality was shaped by your presence. You're not ignoring her. You're reprogramming her mind every time she checks her phone, expecting a message, and finds none. Every time she scrolls through social media, wondering what you're up to. Every time she catches herself replaying old memories, she is being pulled in deeper. Not because you convinced her with words, but because she now has to face what life feels like without your attention. Most men make the mistake of filling every silence with words, every gap with effort, thinking that love is something you prove with constant presence. But a wise man knows that scarcity creates value, that sometimes the best move is no move at all. A man who stands firm, who does not seek validation, who is at peace with himself, is the one who commands attention without even trying. She will notice the shift, she will feel the difference, and in that moment you will no longer be the one chasing. She will be the one drawn in realizing that your presence was never something to be taken lightly. I'm not trying to play games. I just want to tell you both that my attention is a gift, not a promise. Number 4, changing how she feels. She may have taken you for granted because she thought you'd always be there before you rewired her emotional reaction. Your presence was a given. She didn't have to think twice about it. But now that you're not there, the good morning texts make her reevaluate. There are no longer any instant answers. Without knowing that you'd always be there for her, she no longer feels safe. In that empty space, something powerful happens, and she starts to feel the loss. A Stoic man doesn't beg to be valued. He earns his worth through his actions, his discipline, and his ability to walk away when he needs to. Just like a rare artifact, your worth goes up when it's not easy to get to. Imagine walking into an art gallery where there's only one limited edition painting, one that's not for sale, one that only a few people will ever have the chance to own. That painting is of great value not only because it's beautiful, but also because it's so rare. Compare that to a mass-produced print you see on every shelf. Which one stands out? The same is true for you. If you're always there for her, she has no reason to act and she doesn't need your presence. But when you pull away, she's forced to face the fact that you're not always there for her. Marcus Aurelius wrote that a person is only worth what he or she is capable of. Your goal should be take charge of your feelings, not hers. You can't change how she feels about you, but you can change how easy it is for her to get in touch with you. When a Stoic man feels like he's being taken advantage of, he doesn't plead or prove his worth. He just steps back and trusts that his true worth will be seen when he's not there. Think about the times someone unexpectedly pulled away from you. Didn't it make you think? Didn't it make you wonder what had changed? When you give her space, she starts to think about what she had, and more importantly, what she might be losing. This isn't about being hard to get. It's about knowing that anything given too freely loses its appeal. More than that, it's about respecting yourself enough to not overextend where you're not fully appreciated. She will notice the difference. She will feel the shift, and in that moment, she will have to decide if she really saw your worth before you left or if she's only now that you've left. Either way, you win, because a man who values himself will always be valued in return. As you think about the shift from presence to absence and its effects, think about how they relate to your own life. Have you ever appreciated someone more after they stepped back? How did that change how much you valued their presence in your life? Share your thoughts and reflections in the comments below. We're here to learn more about these complicated emotional dynamics, and your insights can help us do that. Whether this strategy works for you or challenges your point of view, your participation is crucial. Let's talk about how making space can change connections and bring out true value. Number 5. The false sense of choice she thinks she's picking to miss. The illusion of choice but in reality, you've made it possible for that feeling to grow. Absence isn't just not being there, it's also making room for feelings, memories, and desires to take root. She doesn't just wake up one day and start longing for you. She starts to notice the silence, the missing presence, and the unfulfilled expectation, and that's when the shift happens. It's like a well-played chess move. Stopping moving is sometimes better than attacking because it forces your opponent to make a choice while you're not there. You're not responding, chasing, or explaining. People's minds automatically try to figure out what's going on when a pattern is broken. She was used to you always being there, reaching out, and filling in the gaps. Now that you've stopped, she's left wondering why that question alone makes her long for you. This is what the Stoics call controlling the controllables. You are not manipulating her, you are just setting the stage for her own mind to do the work. You don't beg for attention or respect, you command it through self-control. You are not forcing her to feel anything, you are just taking yourself out of the picture and letting her own thoughts fill in the blanks. Imagine a song you used to love but heard so much that it faded into the background. But if you don't hear it for weeks or months, all of a sudden, something strange happens. You remember why you loved it in the first place. That's how absence works. It reawakens appreciation. By taking a step back, you're letting her rediscover you on her own terms, and that's what makes the difference. If she has to feel the absence without being told, it has a much bigger effect than any words could. Not only will she miss you, but she'll start to value you in a way she never did before. This isn't about tricks or plans. It's about having the mindset of a man who knows what he's worth. A calm man doesn't look for approval or chase after it. Instead, he positions himself so that his absence is felt deeply even when he's not there. This is how you change her mind, not by forcing her or pleading with her, but by the quiet, undeniable power of absence. Number 6. Dopamine. The dopamine withdrawal effect happens when you stop being a part of her daily life. This throws off her dopamine cycle before she got used to your texts, your praise for your drive. You were a steadiness, a constant source of approval, always there to comfort her, even if she wasn't aware of it. But now the rhythm is broken. The hit of dopamine she was depending on without realizing it is gone, and something scary has taken its place. The brain hates uncertainty. It wants to return to what it once knew as familiar. It starts looking for that missing piece to find the comfort it once had, but didn't value. This is why people often don't realize how strong a connection is until it's broken. The absence forces the mind to focus on what it was missing. What's missing? The text she used to ignore now makes her want something back. The ease of knowing you were always there has turned into a nervous desire to know where he went. Seneca once said, "We don't have a short time to live, we waste a lot of it." This is where most men fail. They waste time and energy trying to prove their worth by chasing overex and describing themselves. They fight against the natural order of attraction instead of understanding it. A Stoic man, on the other hand, steps back and lets the void do what words could never do. You don't have to argue your worth or remind her of what she had. She will feel it, and the feeling of loss is always stronger than words. She may not have noticed you when you were there, but she will notice when you're gone, and that's when things change. She starts to wonder, question, and even doubt her own judgment. This isn't about manipulation. It's about respecting yourself enough to walk away rather than wasting time where you're not appreciated. You are not a man who gives attention to everyone. You are the rare artifact. Let her experience what it's like to be without you, not to punish her or make a point, but to act like a man of value would, quietly strong, firmly disciplined, and aware that true worth is never begged for. And when she starts to feel your absence, when she wants you back more, she won't just miss you, she'll see you differently. And that's how you change her mind. Number 7. Because of the law of difference, fire feels even hotter when there is no heat around it. We call that the law of contrast. You don't really appreciate the sun until it's been cold for a long time, and you don't know how much you want water until you've been without it. The same is true in relationships. When something is always there, it's not important, but when it's suddenly taken away, it's very important. This is because when you stop paying attention, the moment you finally do again, it feels 10 times stronger. She might not have noticed your daily messages or constant presence, but when it's gone, she feels it. The silence gets louder, the space you left behind is undeniable, and when you finally come back on your own terms, not out of desperation, it's like a rush of oxygen to a dying flame. For a man to be attractive, he needs to know when to hold back and when to lean in. That's control, discipline, and stoic beauty. Marcus Aurelius said that you control your mind, not the outside world. Realize this, and you will find strength. This is the essence of being a man who moves with intention. You're not reacting emotionally, you're not grasping for attention. You are mastering the art of presence and absence, knowing that the right balance creates desire. Think about it like this. If someone gives you a gift every single day, it stops feeling special. But if you receive that same gift only once in a while, the anticipation builds. The excitement grows. You savor it more. This is what happens when you control your attention. You don't smother, you make her feel your presence by strategically creating moments where it's missing. Most men struggle with this. They think attraction is built through consistency, through always being there, through proving their worth every second of the day. But a stoic man understands that real value isn't in the constant, it's in the contrast. He doesn't fear stepping back because he knows that his absence speaks louder than any words could. He understands that a well-timed silence can make more impact than 1,000 conversations. She will notice the change, she will feel it. And when you finally come back, it won't be a moment, it will be an event. She won't just hear your words, she will feel them. That's the difference between a man who wants attention and one who demands it. If this video helped you understand the power of absence and the art of contrast in relationships, please like it and share your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever been away from something for a while and then come back to it with even more impact? Are you thinking about applying this principle to your own life? We'd love to hear how you feel about it. For those who feel a connection with this strategy, just type "contrast creates value" in the comments. This insight isn't just theoretical, it's a practical way to build deeper connections and a genuine appreciation in your relationships. Let's take a closer look at how strategic absence can turn ordinary exchanges into important ones. Number 8, the change from as soon as she starts chasing you, everything changes. The power balance is reset, and you're no longer the one looking for her approval. She's the one looking for yours. Before, she saw you as predictable because you were always there, always reaching out, always available. And as we all know, things that are predictable are also less exciting. But now you're a mystery. You're not acting the way she thought you would, and she can't quite figure you out. That uncertainty pulls her in deeper than any words ever could. Before, she felt safe in your presence. She knew you'd be there no matter what. She didn't have to work for your attention because she thought it would always be given freely. But now she wonders if she ever really had you. She plays back old conversations and thinks about your silence. She starts to notice things she didn't notice before. The slight discomfort, the creeping doubt, the sudden change. For her, it's what makes things real again. This is what sets a guy who is valued apart from a man who is taken for granted. The stoic man is hard to win over because he is a standard person who wants to be won, not given away for free. He doesn't show devotion to someone who isn't honest because he knows that real worth is never given away, it's sought after. Seneca once said, "Associate with people who are likely to improve you." A stoic man applies this to every area of life, including his relationships. He doesn't chase those who are indifferent to him. Instead, said he positions himself in such a way that others must rise to meet him. He knows that attraction isn't about words or effort. It's about being a man of presence, discipline and purpose. Think about it the moment you stop chasing, the moment you stop explaining, the moment you stop proving yourself. something powerful happens. She sees the difference. She feels the absence, and if she truly values you, she will come to you, not because you pressured her to, but because she realizes on her own that you were never just an option. And that's the ultimate reprogramming, not through manipulation, not through desperation, but through the simple truth that a man of worth does not beg to be seen. He moves with purpose, he leads with strength, and the right people will recognize his value without him having to say a word. Number 9, taking the long view, to use patience as a weapon. Women like guys who don't do that. The long game, use patience as a weapon. If you want to win in a world where instant satisfaction is the norm, play the long game. Some people are very patient, and in relationships, the man who knows how to use time to his advantage wins in the end. When a woman pulls away, most men freak out. They text, call, and put in more effort because they think that if they just remember her of their worth, she'll come back. But that's not how attraction works. Works chasing only makes her decide to stay away from you more. It tells her she was right to do so because now she sees you as reactive instead of calm. But he stays calm. He doesn't let his feelings control his actions. He doesn't try to get approval or get back in charge. He knows that space is needed. He knows that silence is more powerful than words. And he knows that patience will always be better than desperation. He moves with the quiet confidence of a man who knows that what's meant for him will come not through force, but through alignment. Marcus Aurelius said it best. The closer something is to dying, the more valuable it is. This isn't just about life and death, it's also about shortage. As soon as something feels like it's running out, it loses its value, rises. This is why your absence is important. When you take yourself out of the equation, you leave a hole that the mind rushes to fill. It starts to question, wonder, reevaluate, and replay moments that it had previously ignored. Suddenly things that seemed normal take on more weight, but this will only work if you are patient enough to let it happen. Most men give in to the pressure of silence and reach out too soon, ruining the effect they were trying to create. A stoic man, on the other hand, knows that attraction, like anything else valuable, takes time to develop. He doesn't chase fleeting emotions. Instead, he builds presence value and a sense of self that doesn't depend on outside validation. Think of a high-value investment. A smart investor doesn't panic when the market goes down. Instead, he holds firm, knowing that time is the best way to even things out. Value goes up when people understand they were wrong about it. In partnerships, the same rule applies. Your patience is the investment, and her understanding is, if you don't respond, don't chase, and just live in your own world with confidence, you change the dynamics. Full stop. She starts to wonder if she made a mistake in judging him. If he really liked her as much as she thought, why hasn't he reached out? In that moment of doubt, you become more valuable than any words could ever say. This isn't about games, it's about discipline. It's about knowing that a man who moves with patience doesn't let his emotions guide his actions and lets time do the heavy lifting is the man who will always be respected, wanted, and ultimately remembered. As you think about the strength that can be found in strategic silence and patience, take a moment to think about how this is different from the normal of reacting and getting things right away. How do you think patience plays a part in the way you connect with other people? Do you find it hard to stay calm when your feelings get the best of you? Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments section below. This conversation isn't just about understanding Stoic principles in theory. It's also about using them in our daily lives to build deeper relationships and respect. Your reflections add to the conversation and help us all learn from each other's journeys. Let's move on to the next exciting part of video number 10. You're not getting it. You are not winning. You are leading. let's be clear, you are leading. This isn't about games, revenge, or manipulation. It's about stepping into your power as a man who doesn't need to be valued, but instead sets the standard for how he is treated. The goal isn't to make her suffer, it's to make her realize what she had in a way that words alone could never do, because, let's be honest, people don't value what they don't fear losing. If you've been too available, too predictable, or eager to please, she may have started taking you for granted without even realizing it. But when you move away, when you stop giving her your time and energy as if they were endless, she is forced to face a reality she never thought possible. She didn't have to choose you. A true Stoic man leads by example. He doesn't need to convince her of his worth. He embodies it. His presence is felt, not forced. His absence is a message, not a plea. He doesn't try to get back someone's attention or beg for it. Instead, he moves with purpose, giving time and space to do what words could not. And when she finally reaches out, you decide like a king if she is worthy of your return. That's where the real power lies, not in waiting or hoping, but in knowing that you have the last word. Marcus Aurelius said that a person's worth is only as high as his goals. If your goals are self-respect, self-mastery, and a strong sense of purpose, then you won't have to show your worth to anyone. They will see it and feel it, and they will either live up to your expectations or fall short of them. Fade out of the way where they belong. This isn't about being heartless, it's about being in charge of your own life. A Stoic man doesn't react, he answers. He doesn't give up his honor for short-term affection, because he knows that being with you is a privilege, not a right. So let her feel the shift. Let her sit with the silence, and let her question everything she thought she knew about you. Because when she finally realizes what she had, it won't be because you told her, it will be because you had the courage to step away and let her feel it. You have it what seems like, if you're not there, it's actually a strategy to change how she sees your value and your role in her life. This isn't meant to lower her worth, it's meant to raise yours, in line with the Stoic virtue of knowing and asserting one's value through quiet confidence and self-assured actions. Remember that real strength doesn't come from being present all the time, but from being present in a meaningful way. The space you create isn't empty, it's full of chances for her to see how valuable you really are. As Marcus Aurelius said, the best revenge is not to be like your enemy. In this case, the best way to influence someone is not to overpower them, but to subtly guide them. Your calm and self-respect can bring about change and awareness, like this movie if it spoke to you. And then leave a comment below with your thoughts or experiences with strategic absence and how it affected you. Remember to subscribe for more information and watch the movies on your screen to learn more about strong relationships. Dynamics through the lens of Stoicism. Your participation helps us grow and reach more people who could use these points of view. Thanks for watching, and know that being here is an honor. Until next time, make it matter.